All right, I've already done the stick to the facts version of this video, talking about what happened with a passenger jet colliding with a military helicopter in DC late last night. As far as we know now, there were no survivors. 14 of the U.S. ice skating team was on that plane. It just keeps getting worse. And, I look at all lives as equal. It's still, 70 people. But I do think it's worth having a conversation about how wokeness, has just cost lives. I do believe that, when something like this happens, everyone wants to blame it. Everyone wants to politicize it. But I think with air traffic control, I don't think it's quite jumping to conclusions. This has been something that has been brewing for some time. This is a entry-level mistake, a mistake that, while not impossible, okay, it's not impossible that, that something like this would happen, but it is extremely unlikely. So some people might say, you say 1 in a million, well, 1 in a million just happened. That's possible. But allow me to make the case for why I believe that maybe it should have been 1 in 2 or 4 or 5 million instead of 1 in a million, based on the woke DEI practices of air traffic control. This is a great time to bring it up. They are responsible for all residential air traffic, okay? My wife's a pilot, my best friend's a pilot. I'm familiar with ATC, I'm familiar with how it works. Most people don't even know that most of ATC isn't even on site at that airport, okay? They're off in some remote facility underground. It's one of the highest stress jobs imaginable, probably in the top 5 in the world. It is prone to human error, and with more flights now than ever, the likelihood only increases. So why wouldn't you be hiring the best person for the job? Here is the Federal Aviation Administration talking about the skin color and gender identity of air traffic controllers.
Hi, I'm Brad Mims, Deputy Administrator at the Federal Aviation Administration. We are looking for the best and brightest to join us as air traffic controllers.
Good.
We need a diverse group of air traffic controllers to bring distinct perspectives to handle the ever-changing aerospace.
No. You had it right. You need the best and brightest. Now, if that happens to be diverse, great. But the diversity of that group is irrelevant.
Landscape.
You're talking about hundreds of people's, tens of thousands of people's lives every single day. Rely on you doing your job the best. I don't care if you're purple.
I'm calling on students and alumni from HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and tribal colleges to apply now.
Why not white people? By the way, did you know the Federal Aviation Administration was sued for passing over better qualified white employees, white air traffic controllers specifically? We're going to get to that.
To become air traffic controllers. I don't want anyone interested to miss out on this amazing career opportunity.
Oh, he sounds excited.
Make sure you complete your full application during our application window. The short application window ends on May 8th.
That seems unlikely because air traffic control is dealing with massive shortages. Here's an article from not even a year ago. The Federal Aviation Administration turned away qualified air traffic controllers because they were white. The disturbing rise in near misses at our nation's airports is no accident. A class action lawsuit by Mountain States Legal Foundation has amassed a trove of documents shedding a new light on Obama-era Federal Aviation Administration initiative that rejected prospective air traffic controllers solely based on being white. The 2013 FAA document, Controller Hiring by the Numbers, raised the issues in stark terms, asking how much of a change in job performance is acceptable to achieve a diversity goal. Literally what? At the beginning of the year, 5 people died at Tokyo's Haneda Airport after a jumbo jet carrying 379 travelers hit a smaller Coast Guard plane that had mistakenly entered the runway. It's the job of air traffic control to keep that from happening. There hasn't been a fatal crash in the United States since 2009. That's 15 years. It's only a matter of time before the streak ends. The FAA recorded 2 serious near misses, runway incursions at Reagan National and Baltimore International last year. What a coincidence. Vigilance is waning because the nation's air traffic control towers are woefully understaffed. The people responsible for keeping planes from smashing into one another are tired after working long days, mandatory overtime shifts to make up for lack of controllers. Contributing to the shortage, the FAA temporarily put on the brakes at hiring in 2012 so it could replace race-blind hiring rules with a biographical assessment statogram designed to hire more minorities. The quiz served as further screening of applicants who had already graduated from a 200-hour training program and achieved a high score on their AT-SAT, a grueling 8-hour cognitive test that measures each of the specific skills needed to do the job properly. The questionnaire sought irrelevant information, such as the college subject in which I received my lowest grade. The answering history, political science received 15 points. Playing 4 or more sports in high school was worth 5 points. By contrast, holding a pilot's license, a major advantage for an air traffic controller, was only worth 2 points. And having valuable experience in air traffic controller in the military was worth 0 points. I mean, just think about that. If you're a pilot, 2 points. If you actually worked ATC, 0 points. Andrew Brigida became a lead plaintiff in a lawsuit after his application was turned down despite him achieving a perfect 100% score on the AT-SAT. Mr. Brigida's attorneys claimed that there was a method to the madness. Race hustling activist groups conspired with FAA officials to create the quiz so they could let their members know in secret anyone could pass the biographical assessment by answering A to all but one of the questions. So they set up the test in a way that they could be passed on to these race hustlers to tell people, hey, just answer A to everything and you're gonna get the job. Now the trial starts this summer, but this is a real thing. I'm not making this up, right? Here's Donald Trump on the topic.
The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation?
Ask Ohio.
He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit.
Uh-huh.
The FAA.
Yep, he's right.
Which is overseen by...
Now is a time for mourning, I think, from a president. I think it's understanding, there's some understanding, in wanting the president to do that. But also it's probably worth pointing out why this happened. Here's him responding to reporters.
Today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. We then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right
Let me turn
now
this
that
up.
diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense.
Yep.
Okay. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
It's not just diversity. It's forced diversity. I don't care if all my ATC controllers are black and Asian, if they're the best for the job. And so the dishonest media will say, well, what do you have an issue with black people? No, I don't care if my pilot's black. I don't care if my ATC's black or purple or whatever. I just want them to be the best. I want the best person for the job.
We want brilliant people doing this.
Correct.
This is a major chess game at the highest level. When you have 60 planes coming in during a short period of time, and they're all coming in different directions, and you're dealing with very high-level computer work and very complex computers. And one of the other things I will tell you is that the systems that were built, I was going to rebuild the entire system, and then we had an election that didn't turn out the way it should have.
Yeah.
Today blamed the diversity element.
It's not known right now. I think it's fair to say, hey, we don't know for sure. We don't. And 1 in a million still happens. Somebody wins the lottery every week. All right. But when somebody wins a lottery, 100 people don't die. A lot of people are talking about, hey, we have evidence of air traffic control turning away highly qualified people because they were white. This is an irrefutable fact, okay? The fact that, you are not white and you work at ATC does not mean you're unqualified. But it does open the door to these questions. And I don't think it's anybody's fault that people ask these questions.
Lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first.
They did.
And they put politics
Wokeness.
at a level that nobody's ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse. So as you know, last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers.
I mean, the fact that leftist media is trying to blame Trump for this is bonkers. I highly doubt any ATC agents were hired under Trump's administration. I guarantee none of them were hired under his rules. Could this have been 1 in a million? Absolutely. Could DEI and woke hiring practices led to that? I absolutely believe so. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.